Have you ever wondered why there are to embody that energy, you naturally become the center, not because you try to impress, but because your inner stillness makes others feel safe, able to breathe, able to slow down. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." When a woman can turn inward and observe herself instead of chasing the external noise, she begins to carry a special energy, living silence. It is not forced quietness, but steadiness flowing from within. Like a calm lake, it reflects everything around it without being shaken by passing winds. True stillness only arrives when a woman has gone through the process of facing and integrating her shadow, the darker parts of herself. In Jungian psychology, the shadow is what we have rejected: envy, anger, fear, weakness. When we deny them, we put on masks, pretending to be strong, humorous, or interesting just to gain approval. But when we courageously face and accept them, the shadow is no longer an enemy, but becomes part of wholeness. A woman reconciled with her own shadow no longer needs to prove herself. She doesn't need to declare that she is more beautiful, more talented, more interesting. She no longer chases after praise, nor fears judgment. That freedom from the need to prove makes her serene, and her inner light begins to radiate. That is when the silent aura appears. I once heard a friend share an interesting experience. He often worked at a cafe where there was a young woman who also came frequently. She never dressed to stand out, usually just reading or working on her laptop. But he noticed that whenever she appeared, the whole space seemed to calm down. Not because she spoke, but because her presence made others naturally lower their voices, even linger longer. When he finally spoke to her, what he remembered most was not her words, but the feeling of being truly listened to. She didn't interrupt, didn't rush to give advice, just sat there attentively, occasionally nodding. He left the cafe with a strange sense of relief, as if he had laid down a burden. He realized that what he had been looking for was not outward excitement, but a peaceful place for his soul to rest, and she gave him that. Many think of silent aura and conclude, so I just need to talk less, keep quiet more, then I'll be magnetic. But in reality, this silence cannot be faked. Forced silence or insecurity only makes others uncomfortable. The silent aura arises only when silence is accompanied by inner fullness. When you no longer frantically seek attention, no longer force yourself to be someone else, you radiate the peace others can feel. The key is to realize magnetism from silence is not a strategy you apply, but an energy field you become. When you truly sit with yourself, accept both light and shadow, your heart is no longer shaken by others' judgment, and the world naturally senses it. Like a mountain that has stood for thousands of years, never needing to advertise its grandeur, yet anyone who sees it is awed. A woman with a silent aura is the same. She does not shout her worth, but her presence makes others recognize it. People may forget the dresses you once wore or the words you once spoke, but they will never forget the feeling of sitting beside you, the feeling of being listened to, of peace, of coming home. That is the invisible magnetism of the silent aura, and it is a gift only you can bring to the world. Number 2. The mystery of femininity beyond anyone's grasp. And once you touch the power of silence, you begin to notice another dimension, deeper, more enigmatic, the inherent mystery of feminine energy, something no one can fully grasp. If silence is the foundation that makes you shine, mystery is the flavor that keeps eyes fixed on you. Mystery is not a psychological game or calculated silence to manipulate. Mystery in feminine energy is the unfathomable depth of the soul, the sense that there is always another layer unrevealed, making others want to keep discovering, yet never reaching the end. Carl Jung called this the anima, the feminine archetype within a man's soul. In the collective unconscious, anima represents emotion, intuition, spiritual connection that men often repress or avoid. Thus, when they encounter a woman radiating strong feminine energy, they don't just see a person, they glimpse the reflection of their forgotten inner part. Imagine a man who always lives in logic, calculation, control. He is used to analyzing and directing. But one day, he meets a woman who lives not by reason, but intuition. She doesn't need many explanations. With just a look or a smile, she makes him feel understood. He cannot explain why, only knows that next to her, he touches the soft, mysterious part of his own soul. That is why men are often deeply attracted to feminine mystery. Not because she is complicated, but because she evokes the anima inside them, the part they both crave and fear. In today's world, mystery is often mistaken for tactics. Many think they must keep distance, never reveal everything, or always stay unpredictable to be mysterious. But the real mystery is not calculation. It is not a mask, but the natural result of a multi-layered, authentic soul. For example, a woman may be very open in sharing, yet the way she experiences the world, the way she you become mysterious in a way no one can copy. Mystery is not a game to keep someone. Mystery is the deepest part of your soul, the inner space no one else can enter. And precisely that makes you a small universe, never fully captured. If you've ever experienced a moment where your mystery, depth, or intuition made someone pause, marvel, and remember, share that story in the comments. Perhaps your experience will inspire another woman on her journey to discover her own aura. Number 3. Intuition as guidance, the ability to read others' energy. And when the mystery of femininity opens like a doorway to the soul, the next dimension that overwhelms others is intuition. The inner lamp that lets you sense energy and read what has never been spoken. If silence is the foundation and mystery is the magnetism, intuition is the compass of feminine energy. It allows you not only to live for yourself, but to touch the unseen depths in others. Perhaps that is why in every culture, women are linked with prophecy, vision, and the ability to perceive what eyes cannot see. In Christianity, we see the image of the Virgin Mary, a woman who received the message from the angel that she would bear God's child. The miracle was not only in the message, but in her reception. She did not resist, did not fear judgment, but listened inwardly and followed. That is intuition, connection with the divine beyond logic. I once heard a story about a female manager in a tech company. Her team was in crisis, deadlines missed, pressure mounting, tension everywhere. Colleagues argued endlessly over technical solutions. Meanwhile, she didn't say much. But through intuition, she sensed the suffocating heaviness killing creativity. Instead of joining the arguments, she organized a gathering outside at a small cafe. There, instead of work talk, she invited everyday conversations. The atmosphere shifted quickly. People let go, shared worries, and reconnected. Afterward, the team returned refreshed and soon solved the problems. A colleague realized what she brought was not a new plan, but a timely breath. That is feminine intuition in practice, the ability to perceive what lies beneath words, to sense collective energy and adjust it gently yet powerfully. When a woman looks into a man's eyes and names what he is hiding, he will never forget it. Not because she knows everything, but because she touches the deepest part he never dared face. A nod, a short phrase, or silence at the right moment can make him feel both exposed and comforted. Feminine intuition holds that power. It doesn't make men feel judged, but seen and understood. And being understood without needing to explain is one of the rarest experiences, the kind that creates lasting magnetism. The key: intuition is not fortune-telling or supernatural power. It is presence so complete that you pick up subtle signals. A fleeting glance, a forced smile, a prolonged silence, all carry messages. When you are quiet inside, no longer chasing proof or control, you become a sensitive antenna. You don't need to try to read, you simply perceive. This is the natural feminine gift, sensitivity not as weakness, but as a channel to the unconscious. Carl Jung considered intuition one of the 4 basic functions of the psyche, alongside sensation, thinking, and feeling. But intuition is unique in that it does not rely on evidence. It is direct contact with the unconscious. Jung once wrote, "Intuition does not denote something contrary to reason, but something outside of the province of reason." Femininity, closely tied to emotion, often accesses this source more naturally. In a world where almost everything can be copied, appearance, skills, style, intuition is the one thing no one can take from you. It is your unique signature, making you irreplaceable. A woman may be forgotten for her looks, but if she once read someone's soul, that memory lasts forever. That is the hidden power of feminine aura, the ability to guide through intuition, to sense the unseen, to give others the rare feeling of being understood, of being touched. Intuition is not magic, nor a control tactic. It is natural sensitivity, the ability to read energy and the unspoken. And when you live by it, you not only guide yourself, but create a field of energy that illuminates anyone who steps in. That is why men and the world will never forget you. Number 4. Nurturing, a healing heart, not submission. And if intuition is the lamp in darkness, the next energy-forming feminine aura is nurturing, not blind sacrifice, but nurturing born of a healing heart. In modern life, no one is unfamiliar with the smartphone. It may be expensive, full of features, with sharp cameras and massive storage, but once the battery hits zero, all is useless. It cannot call, text, or connect. Only when recharged does it function again, helping you work, play, and link to the world. A woman is the same. If she constantly empties herself to please everyone, caring for all without recharging, one day she will collapse in depletion. The signs of low battery may be irritability, fatigue, loss of joy. But when she nurtures herself, resting, caring for her body, listening to emotions, keeping private space, that fullness radiates outward. Then she not only lives healthily for herself, but becomes a healing presence for anyone in her orbit. For generations, society taught women that nurturing meant putting others above themselves, caring for husband and children, pleasing parents. I give, but I do not lose myself. Jung taught that when femininity connects with self, she steps out of the cycle of pleasing to become the center of vitality. In that state, gentleness doesn't weaken her, care doesn't burden her, and her love doesn't bind anyone. You don't need to be a nurse, doctor, or healer to radiate nurturing energy. A warm hug, a meal cooked with love, or simply calmness in chaos, all are nurturing. When you care for yourself, you teach others how to care for themselves. When you hold peace, you transmit it to the whole room. Remember, nurturing is not measured by how much you do for others, but by the energy you bring when you're with them. An exhausted woman may cook hundreds of meals, yet spread fatigue. But a fulfilled woman, with just one glance, can bring ease. That is the hidden strength of feminine aura. When you nurture yourself first, you become an irreplaceable source of life, a unique field of energy that touches hearts without any display. So we are more than halfway on this journey, and I am truly grateful for your presence. Before moving forward, take a small pause. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and ask, have I nurtured myself enough? If these words touch you, if you see your own reflection in them, try writing in the comments one short line. I choose to nurture myself first. Sometimes, a simple reminder can be the key to transformation, not just for you, but for someone who needs a gentle inspiration to keep going. Number 5. Gentle boundaries, the power of yes and no. But if your heart longs to nurture and heal, the question is, how do you avoid being drained? Avoid letting gentleness become a burden. This is where another feminine quality is needed, the ability to set boundaries, the strength of saying yes and no with gentle firmness. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." But if a woman cannot accept herself, can she truly nurture others without losing herself? This question leads us to a subtle yet powerful feminine aura, the capacity for boundaries. In modern psychology, boundaries are likened to skin, protecting the inside from harm while allowing what is needed to enter. A woman who can say yes and no with gentle firmness doesn't lose softness. On the contrary, her aura becomes clearer and more respected. Many mistake boundaries as distance or rigidity. But boundaries are not walls. They are like fences around a garden, not built to imprison, but to protect flowers from careless trampling. A woman with gentle boundaries knows what she needs, what she can bear, and when to stop at harm. This clarity itself is attractive. While many lose themselves to be loved, a woman who keeps her boundaries radiates steadiness, forcing others to respect her. I once heard of a woman working in a large media company. The culture was endless overtime. Everyone stayed late to prove commitment. But she was different. From the start, she set her principle. Evenings were for family and herself. At work, she focused fully, efficient and effective. But at closing time, she packed up, smiled, and left. At first, colleagues whispered that she was uncommitted. But gradually they noticed she stayed creative, alert, and quick to solve problems, while many burned out. Her steadiness won respect from her boss, and even colleagues quietly followed. This story shows a boundary held with calm firmness doesn't make her less attractive, but makes her aura stronger and more reliable. In love, many women believe to keep a man, they must always yield, always say yes. But the truth is the opposite. It is a courageous no that earns respect. When you say no to what doesn't fit, a date you're uncomfortable with, a request beyond limits, or a hurtful act, you send the message, I respect myself, and I will not trade my peace. This doesn't push people away, it makes them respect you more. Because deep down, everyone knows, one without boundaries is soon despised, while one who keeps them remains magnetic. The power of gentle boundaries lies in preserving softness while protecting yourself. It may come with a smile, a nod of empathy, or decisive silence. Others don't feel rejected, but understand you have principles. And that, instead of pushing them away, makes you more compelling. In Jungian view, setting boundaries is part of self-acceptance. When a woman says no, she acknowledges she has needs and limits and deserves respect. That acknowledgement becomes power. When you respect yourself, the world learns to respect you. And then your aura shines not because you cater to others, but because you live true to your essence. Gentle boundaries are the hidden strength of feminine aura. When you dare say yes to what nourishes you and no to what drains you, you not only protect yourself, but make your gentleness enduring. People may forget what you once did, or pretending calm, she paused, breathed, and smiled. She confessed she was nervous, feared not being good enough, feared being seen as clumsy. The hall fell silent. Then came applause. What people remembered was not her prepared content, but her willingness to show imperfection. That authenticity forged deep connection, inspiring trust and admiration more than any slide. In art, none represents authenticity more than Frida Kahlo, the Mexican painter. She never hid her pain from surgeries, physical wounds, or turbulent marriage. On canvas, she laid it bare. Pain, longing, weakness, and strength. The world loved Frida not for following standards, but for daring to live and create from her true self. Sometimes her paintings shocked, but never were they fake. That authenticity made her a global symbol of women's freedom, an aura no one could copy. The authentic woman needs no techniques to attract. Her energy speaks for her. Men are often drawn to women who don't pretend, not because they are perfect, but because imperfection itself is alluring truth. A common mistake: authenticity doesn't mean revealing everything. It means not acting. You may keep privacy, but what you do share is real. When you say, "I'm fine," it truly means, "I'm fine," not a mask. The power of authenticity is that it frees energy. When you no longer spend effort performing, you become free. And freedom, in others' eyes, becomes light. Carl Jung called this journey individuation, returning to your unique self. Persona is only an adaptive shell, not the essence. When a woman dares step out of persona, she finds herself and the power of wholeness. In that state, her aura cannot be copied. No one else can be her, nor reproduce the authentic frequency she carries. If you feel authenticity is the key to the hidden power of your feminine energy aura that no one else has, press like on this video. That small action not only supports the channel, but sends the signal: I choose to live true and let my aura shine. Perhaps that energy will ripple out and awaken someone needing it. Number 7. Alignment with the universe, the natural state of magnetism. When a woman dares to drop all roles and stand in authenticity, a strange phenomenon begins. Instead of her chasing the world comes to her. The answer lies in what Carl Jung called synchronicity, meaningful coincidences where outer and inner worlds align to support those carrying feminine aura. Jung wrote that synchronicity is not meaningless chance, but the meaningful alignment of outer and inner events. When a woman connects with her true self, her aura not only shines to others, but harmonizes with the universe's flow. Magnetism then is no longer effort, but a natural state of life. Think of a river. Flowing in its right course, water meets least resistance, nourishing all life. When blocked, water stagnates and rots. A woman the same. When aligned with her true essence, doors open. Accidental meetings become opportunities. Random events match her deepest longings. I once heard of a young painter. She always tried to paint for market taste to sell, but grew weary. One day, in crisis, she decided to paint only what truly stirred her, even if no one bought. She painted dreams, childhood memories, fears. Months later, a collector happened upon the series and bought it all. He said, "In your paintings, I see my own story." That was synchronicity. When she dared create from her essence, the world sent her resonance. Not calculation, but the natural frequency of authenticity drawing response. Feminine energy, in this alignment, becomes irresistible magnetism. Others are not drawn because she tries hard, but because they feel an invisible rightness, as if life destined the meeting. In love, it feels like the right person, right time. In work, opportunities appear when ready. In life, even struggles flow with ease. The wonder is, synchronicity cannot be controlled. You cannot plan to meet the right person or opportunity, but you can allow it by living true. When you drop pretenses and imposed standards, you vibrate at your unique frequency. That frequency makes the universe harmonize. You may already have experienced synchronicity without naming it. Thinking of a friend, then they message you, stuck in work, overhearing a bus conversation that sparks a solution. For femininity, such events are not random, but signals. You are on the right path, aligned with the larger rhythm. Carl Jung said, "Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see." When a woman opens in authenticity, she gains eyes to see. Then her aura shines not only as an individual, but as part of the vast universe. What does a man feel before a woman aligned with the universe? isn't a skill someone can teach you. It's not found in communication courses or books titled 10 Steps to Becoming Charismatic and Bold. True confidence doesn't come from the outside. It's something that has always existed within you, but has been buried under layers of dust from expectations, dogmas, and small but sharp words. Women should be gentle. Don't overdo it. Don't ask for too much. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." And that's the starting point. To find confidence, you must look inward. Because what makes a woman lack confidence isn't that she's not good enough, not beautiful enough, or not smart enough. It's that she's grown too accustomed to looking outward to find her worth. Imagine you are a mountain. Every day people hang signs on you. Good, beautiful, intelligent, valuable. But the next day, those signs are torn down, replaced with judgments. Selfish, difficult, too demanding. You begin to fear your shape. You lower your head, try to shrink, become softer, more agreeable, so no one sees you as the mountain. And you wonder, why don't I feel confident? The answer is simple. You've forgotten that you are that majestic mountain. Perhaps you were taught to live like a flower in a vase, pleasant, always fragrant, movable, rearrangeable to suit others, and you began to think your sturdy roots were the problem. Confidence, then, didn't vanish. It was locked away behind the door of self-adjustment, of biting your tongue to avoid disturbing, of nodding when you wanted to scream no. Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear to face the world. But it's not a vibrant festival mask. It's a second skin, thin, transparent, clinging so tightly to our true face that we forget where we end and the role begins. We were trained from childhood to create this mask. No one forced us, but everyone encouraged it. A cold glance when you spoke too loudly, a furrowed brow when you expressed too much, a backhanded compliment. That girl is good, well-mannered. And so, we began to adjust, trim ourselves, and hide the parts that didn't fit the mold others provided. But the truth is, confidence doesn't lie in playing a role. It lies in the depths beyond that persona. Carl Jung called the true self the self, vaster than any role, deeper than any praise or criticism. If the persona is a gilded suit of armor, the self is the life force flowing beneath, the underground spring. You can walk around in that armor, but you'll never feel at ease. You can make others love your mask, but you'll still feel empty when alone. Think back to a young child. She doesn't need anyone to teach her to hold her head high, to love herself. She laughs when she sees herself in the mirror, screams when angry, dances when happy, and demands what she wants. She doesn't ask permission to be herself. But as that child grows, each judgment begins to carve invisible scratches on her soul. Too loud. Does that girl even study to act like that? Who praises themselves like that? And so, confidence gets locked in a box labeled propriety. The woman you are today, perhaps you, isn't lacking confidence. She's just living far from it. She's learned to judge herself through others' eyes so much that, when alone, she doesn't know if she's still valuable. But the truth is, value doesn't depend on who sees it. A diamond is still a diamond, even buried underground. In analytical psychology, Jung described the journey of spiritual growth as a return inward, a reunion with the original self. It's not about becoming confident, but about shedding what isn't you to return to the confidence you already have. And this process isn't comfortable. Because it demands you face the shadow, the place holding all the emotions you've rejected. Anger, ambition, envy, passion, fierce independence. Why do those emotions feel wrong? Because society has programmed women to be likable, soft, and sacrificial. A confident woman who walks into a room with steady posture, speaks her mind, defends her boundaries, she's labeled too tough, masculine, unapproachable. But that's exactly what keeps many women from embracing their true power. They don't fear failure, they fear being disliked and isolated. Confidence doesn't need validation through achievements. It doesn't need to prove anything. It's simply a rooted state where you stand firm because you know who you are, trust your feelings, and don't need others' approval to keep moving forward. Jung said that if you don't realize you've been programmed to doubt yourself, to shrink, to avoid your inner power, you'll live your whole life feeling unworthy and call it fate. But that's not fate. It's an old script you can cross out. Confidence begins when you stop asking, "Will they like me?" and start asking, "Am I still true to myself?" When you stop performing, you become powerful. When you say no without explaining, you begin to reclaim your self-respect. When you dare to be present in a room without needing to please anyone, you start radiating you've tried to ignore. Many think they understand themselves because they can describe their preferences, personality, or MBTI type. But that's just a profile. The real you often lies deep beneath the still waters, and to reach it, you must dare to dive. Dive deep. At the bottom lie the most terrifying questions. Why do I need validation so badly? Why am I so afraid of being alone that I tolerate toxic relationships? Why do I nod when my heart screams to say no? In that deep place, there are no comfortable answers. But all inner power begins with unrelenting honesty with yourself. Knowing yourself is accepting that you are both strong and vulnerable, both wise and selfish, both full of love and, at times, dark. Knowing yourself isn't about erasing the bad parts. It's about looking at them squarely and saying, I see you. I'm no longer ashamed of you. In the journey of individuation that Jung describes, you don't move from darkness to light like in a fairy tale. You move in circles through layers of the ego, through darkness, through light, and back inward, like a spiral journey. Each loop is deeper, truer, more painful, but also more liberating. And at the center of that spiral is consciousness, the place where you begin to see the mechanisms driving you from within and declare, I won't let these things steer me anymore. Today, many women don't trust their own emotions. They've learned to dismiss their intuition, doubt their feelings, view anger as losing control, or exhaustion as weakness. But every time they do this, they drift further from themselves, and deep down, they know they're betraying themselves. Yet they can't stop, because they aren't awake enough to see they're repeating an old pattern. Carl Jung didn't see humans as a collection of behaviors. He saw them as a psychological universe with countless layers operating unconsciously. If you don't shine a light into your darkness, it will steer you in every choice: who you love, what job you take, how you treat yourself, and you'll think it's your taste or personality. But in reality, it's an unconscious reaction programmed by wounds that have never seen the light. Take a metaphor. You are an ancient house, vast, with many floors and rooms. The living room is meticulously decorated, the face you show to every visitor. But there are locked rooms, covered in dust, where light cannot reach. Every time you approach their doors, a chill runs through you, so you turn away. But those rooms hold your truest emotions, your pain, your buried ambitions. And you cannot have true inner power if you don't dare step inside, turn on the light, clean the space, and face what's there. Have you seen the Oscar-winning film from 2023, Everything Everywhere All at Once? In the final scene, when Evelyn, the protagonist, sees every version of herself across countless universes, from a superstar to a laundromat owner, from a fierce wife to a failure, she doesn't choose one version or dimension to live in. She embraces and integrates them all. That's the depth Jung spoke of. Power doesn't come from being right, but from daring to see all versions of yourself, good and bad, and not walking away. And then, what you thought was weakness becomes strength. The anger, once suppressed, becomes a clear boundary. The fear, once hidden, becomes a guiding compass. The wound you were ashamed of becomes a voice that inspires. And at the intersection of awareness and acceptance, you begin to wield a power no one can take away. The power to live authentically, unafraid of anyone's judgment, because you know they don't have that right. Number 3, making peace with the shadow. And as you begin to recognize who you are, as the light of consciousness slowly illuminates the deeper layers of your inner world, the next inevitable encounter arises: the shadow. Not something evil, but something you've hidden. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the part of each person cast out from the light of the ego. And to truly step into your inner power, you cannot merely stand in the sunlight. You must step into the darkness and learn to stand still within it, without wanting to flee. Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." True light doesn't come from dreaming of goodness, but from the courage to face what you don't want to see. And this is where most people stop. Because light is comfortable, darkness is not. It's filled with memories you want to forget, filled with emotions you've labeled bad. Envy, anger, shame, desire, greed, selfishness. But the irony is, the longer you reject your shadow, the more it controls you. Imagine your soul as a vibrant circus under bright lights. On stage, you are the star performer. But behind the curtains, in the darkened tent, there's a menagerie of caged animals, silently roaring. The lion named anger, the wolf named envy, the ape your shadow, not to let it swallow you, but to understand that it's only seeking acceptance. Jung called this integration. It means you no longer split yourself into two camps, good me and bad me. You begin to embrace the complexity. I am a whole. I have light and I have darkness. Both are me. And from that point, a woman begins to have a unified inner world. No longer fragmented, no longer pretending, no longer held back by imprisoned emotions. When you make peace with your shadow, you don't just become free, you become dangerous. Not in a destructive sense, but in this. You're no longer easily controlled. Someone who has faced their darkness is no longer easily manipulated by the fear of rejection or swayed by hollow praise. Because she has sat with the monster within and discovered, it's not a monster. It's a wounded child. And when you embrace that child, you truly begin to grow. Perhaps a part of your shadow has already spoken, softly, quietly, and you've heard it. If you're recalling such a moment, write a few lines for yourself in the comments. Who knows? What you write might be exactly what someone else needs to see today. Making peace with the shadow isn't something that happens in one inspired afternoon. It's a process. At times, you'll feel exhausted. At times, you'll cry because you feel too ugly. But don't forget, beauty doesn't lie in being spotless, but in being true. And freedom doesn't come from becoming someone else, but from acknowledging everything you've tried to hide and still choosing to love yourself. Carl Jung taught, "The shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality, for no one can become conscious of the shadow without considerable moral effort." But he also said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." So if it hurts, if it's hard, you're on the right path. And from within that darkness, you will find a different kind of light. Not dazzling, not blinding, but smoldering, steady. It's the light of truth. It's what makes you hold your head high, not because you're perfect, but because you're whole. It's what makes others unable to ignore you, because you've listened to yourself. Number 4, setting clear boundaries. Once you've dared to face your shadow, the next step to protect your inner growth is to establish boundaries. Without boundaries, confidence cannot exist. Without boundaries, self-respect cannot stand firm. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." But he also understood, to protect that true self, you must know where to close the door, where to keep silence, and where to forbid others from entering. A woman who hasn't set boundaries is like a field without a fence. Anyone can walk in, trample the soil she's cultivating, and pick the fruit she's nurturing. They aren't malicious. It's just that she's never said, "This is my land." The danger is, if you don't set boundaries, sooner or later, you'll resent others for crossing lines you never drew. Boundaries aren't rude. They aren't rigid. Boundaries are a language of self-love, where you say no, not out of hate, but because you know what nourishes you and what drains your life's energy. In therapy, Jung called this boundary awareness, recognizing the inner lines of your being. And women, raised to be compliant, to please, to be gentle and agreeable, are often taught to erase their boundaries to maintain harmony. But at what cost? The loss of themselves. Jung didn't just speak of the self. He emphasized wholeness. And to protect that wholeness, boundaries are a spiritual mechanism. They aren't walls that cut you off from the world. They are doors you can open or close, depending on your choice. You don't need to build concrete walls. You just need enough awareness to know who is allowed in and who is not. Consider a common example. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone endlessly complains, blames, or unloads heavy emotions onto you? And you sit there, smiling, nodding, empathizing, while inside, your energy feels drained. That's a boundary being crossed that you didn't recognize. Not because they meant harm, but because you've been programmed to think, "I should listen whenever they share." But sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is not let anyone dump their trash into your mind without asking first. In psychology, there's a concept called the emotional container. Each person has a certain vessel for emotions. If you constantly let others pour into it without knowing when it's full, you'll break. And when you break, you don't just hurt yourself, you hurt those around you. Setting boundaries is about keeping your emotional container safe, so you can continue to love, to give, without being worn down. So where do boundaries begin? Not with grand declarations or arguments. Boundaries begin with well-timed silence, not answering a message instantly just because you fear being seen as cold. Ending a conversation when you feel yourself shrinking inside, by saying, "I need time to think," instead of nodding to avoid rejection. A practical exercise. Write Nor does it vanish under criticism. It stays with you like a steady heartbeat behind every gesture, every decision. That is self-respect, not an image, but an energy field. Self-respect doesn't need anyone's validation. It doesn't need a stage. It's the frequency you emit simply by being present. And others, though they may not understand why, feel it. They can no longer cross your boundaries as before. They can no longer manipulate your emotions as before. They can no longer make you doubt your worth with a single rejection. Because, quite simply, your energy field doesn't allow it. Carl Jung didn't call this an attitude. He called it the convergence of the self, when all parts of you, even those once rejected, begin to merge into one. When you no longer divide yourself into good and bad, should and shouldn't, but only true and false. And from that point, you emit a clear energy. I am here. I am enough. I don't need to shrink to make anyone feel comfortable. Picture yourself as a planet with its gravitational field. If you orbit around others, you lose your pull. If you get too close to someone else's sun, you burn up. But if you spin on your axis, at your speed, in your own space, you stabilize. And from there, you begin to attract the right orbit, the right people, the right experiences, without fighting for it. That's self-respect when it becomes a habit. One of the strongest expressions of this self-respect energy field is a weighty silence. You don't need to argue to defend your perspective. You don't need to explain to keep someone around. You don't need to act okay. You are still. And others, instinctively, adjust how they treat you, not out of fear, but because your energy doesn't permit carelessness. You can practice this every time you're about to say yes to something that feels heavy. Pause for 5 seconds. Place your hand on your chest, breathe deeply, and ask, Do I want to do this? If the answer is no, don't proceed. Every time you go against yourself, your energy field cracks. Every time you're honest with yourself, it strengthens with a new layer. You can also try this simple yet profound exercise. Sit in silence for 10 minutes each day and imagine yourself as an energy boundary. Observe where you're opening too wide. You're letting someone cross too easily. Where you're adjusting yourself to fit someone else. A subtle example comes from those who dedicate their lives to uplifting others' souls, therapists. There was a woman who spent over 20 years listening, supporting, and healing others' souls. She was a therapist, patient, devoted, and always present like a steadfast pillar amidst her clients' emotional storms. For 2 decades, she delved into the layers of the unconscious, helping others untangle the old knots in their souls that they often didn't dare touch. She did this with her whole heart, with the belief that her presence was a gift worth giving without hesitation. But then, during a visit to her hometown, with time to sit with herself, no clients' tears, no stories to unravel, she realized a truth that quieted her heart. While healing others, she had forgotten to ask how she was doing. Each session was like a gust of wind carrying away a bit of her vitality. Each time she listened deeply, empathized deeply, she gave away a piece of her subtlest energy without replenishing it. Carl Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. And your heart doesn't care how you appear to others. It only asks one question. Are you living true to yourself?" Self-respect begins with daring to answer honestly. You don't need to strain to become worthy. You don't need to become a perfect version. You just need to return to the frequency of your true self, clear, whole, and unapologetic. And when you live at that frequency, the world responds differently. Not because you force anyone to respect you, but because you've left them no other choice. We've reached the end of today's journey. Your presence is a great encouragement for us in our mission to bring the authentic values of Jung's philosophy to more people. So please like and share this video to spread these lessons to your loved ones and friends. Or leave a comment saying, "I value my life," if you're ready for the next step of this journey. Number 6. Consistency. In Carl Jung's world, consistency isn't about repeating the same behaviors. It's when your outer self aligns with your inner being. It's when you no longer have to remember what you said, try to act according to some principle, or force yourself to maintain an image, because everything flows from one place, your inner truth. You may be intelligent, kind, and considerate, but if your thoughts, emotions, and actions are constantly misaligned, you emit a chaotic signal. And the danger is this: people don't hear your words. They feel the energy you carry. When you smile, but your eyes don't light up. When you say, "I'm fine," but your body shrinks. When you promise, "I'll change," but fall back into old patterns. Each time this happens, you lose a piece of trust, both from others and from yourself. Carl Jung wrote, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." This isn't a harsh judgment. It's a guide. Because the quietest erosion of inner trust comes from this misalignment. You don't lose faith in yourself because of one big mistake. demands honesty with yourself, enough to realign when you veer off your inner path. It's not rigidity, it's a continual return. Like a compass, you may stray, but you always come back to your true north. Picture consistency as the axis of a spinning top. If the axis isn't straight, the top may still spin, but it wobbles, loses momentum, and eventually falls. But with a steady axis, no matter the chaos around it, the top stays centered. Likewise, when you live consistently, you may be challenged, hurt, or misunderstood, but you don't shatter. You don't lose yourself. You can try these practices to maintain consistency. Before making a promise, pause and think, can I do this? Do I want to do this? If the answer isn't clear, delay the commitment. That initial honesty will save you from silent betrayals later. And each time you speak and act in alignment, you build a stronger link between trust and action. That's the root of true strength. Another approach. Write down the moments when you feel, I don't trust myself anymore. Notice where you're saying yes when you want to say no, where you're protecting others when you need to protect yourself, where you're trying to play a role that no longer fits who you are today. That awareness is the starting point for returning to consistency. Consistency makes you clear. And in a world full of noise, clarity is power. It doesn't make you perfect, but it makes you trustworthy. And once you become trustworthy to yourself, you no longer need to please others to feel worthy. You don't act out of fear of abandonment. You act because it's true to you. And so, every step, every word, every choice becomes a unified flow leading you toward your whole self. If the journey of inner growth is a living piece of music, everything you've just read isn't the prelude. It's the tuning process. Tense, precise, and demanding. But only when the strings are tight enough does the instrument play the right note. You don't need to raise your voice to be heard. You just need to emit the sound true to your being. And that sound will find the ears that deserve it. You may have been taught to fit in to be loved. But the truth is, when you stop trying to fit in, you start fitting with yourself. And from that moment, you no longer seek respect out there. You become where it begins. Remember, the world doesn't need another agreeable copy. The world needs you, a being who doesn't ask permission to exist. And when you walk into a room knowing who you are, you don't need anyone to validate it. Your presence alone is the answer. If this video resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications today. I also want to leave you with a question to ponder, one that could transform your journey ahead if you dare to answer it with your heart. Are you ready to embark on the path of self-understanding and awakening the wholeness within?